Hypnosis works, transforming the mind.
Hi there, I'm Hendrik, a practicing non-medical hypnotherapist currently based in Pretoria, South Africa. I'm always curious to learn more about hypnosis, and so I thought, what better way to learn than to chat with other hypnotherapists to gain some insights into what they do and how they work. So join me as we explore the fascinating world of the mind and of hypnosis. And my guest today is part-time hypnotherapist Vanessa Baragwanath from Cape Town. And on the phone today, I'm speaking to Vanessa Baragwanath, who's based in Cape Town. Good morning, Vanessa, and so thank you very much for joining me for this podcast.
Good morning, Hendrik, and thank you for inviting me to be on the podcast.
What is the weather like in Cape Town today?
Beautiful. No wind.
Beautiful.
No wind.
Oh, well, here in Pretoria, we've been having so much rain. It's actually beautiful, but
Yes.
Nice and cool here today.
Great.
So, Vanessa, tell me a little bit about how you got into hypnosis and hypnotherapy.
Many years back, I was thinking this morning in about 2006, I opened a book called The Journey for inspiration, and it fell open on a page that said, your joy is within you. You can find your joy, but it is within you. And I thought about this and then thought, now, how do I find that joy within me? So I started with Brandon Bays on the journey, which evolved into completing my hypnotherapy with Claudia Klein at SAI, South African Institute of Hypnosis. So I'm qualified in journey work and in hypnotherapy.
So tell me a little bit about the training. Was there something interesting that happened or some revelations that came to you while you were doing that?
Well, particularly with SAI, I learned about neuropathways, can we put it that way, how they are our behavior patterns and how we can change our neuropathways. That I thoroughly enjoyed, and that I completely believe in, that we can change, and we can change by creating new neuropathways. And this can be done through hypnotherapy and through journey work, yes.
Okay. You obviously have a hypnotherapy practice there in Cape Town, do you?
I do, yes.
What do you specialize in? I've been speaking to some of the other hypnotherapists, and it seems like everybody's got like a little bit of a speciality that sort of comes to them that they seem to attract.
Yeah, I seem to attract people who need self-esteem or have self-esteem issues. Most of the time that's the crunch behavior pattern that results in why they came to me, whatever it may be. Like a few years ago, I had a couple of people who'd lost their jobs. And once we sorted through the self-esteem issues and getting to appreciate themselves, they got jobs. They got onto the employment list again and were employed.
It seems to me that's quite a common problem amongst the population these days, is, self-esteem, and then that results in anxiety and depression and those sort of things.
Yeah, I think it's a lesson of the age that we need to learn to value ourselves.
And tell me, how would you work with a person who comes to you and say, look, I have no self-esteem, I'm useless, I'm worthless. Tell me a little bit about the journey that you would take them on.
If I had someone who came to me who said those words, they don't often say those words, they present with a different problem. But I've also studied a bit of NLP, and I have one very wonderful process, NLP process called logical levels. And I guide my clients on logical levels to see the greater picture of who they are and their purpose. That allows them to see themselves in a very different light.
But if you say people come to you, but they don't say, look, I don't have self-esteem, how would they usually express themselves?
Gosh, Hendrik, that's you're making me think now. Yeah, Well, let's say the guys who came to me who said, we don't have work. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get out of this. So he's presenting as I'm unemployed. I need to help myself. And I did the logical levels with them and then used hypnotherapy to work with the subconscious. And then we changed. Yes, we changed the energy. We changed the energy within ourselves and become different people with a better self-esteem. I have somebody who I'm seeing on Monday who is riddled with guilt because she feels she hasn't done a good job with her children, or her daughter, in fact. So, the problem is the guilt, but underlying all of that is she believes she's done a bad job.
And then when they come to you with, something like that, talk me through the process that you would go through in a session. How would you help them? How would you solve that for them or help them solve that? What sort of techniques would you use?
My first session would always be to gain trust in the process, the hypnotherapy process, because a lot of people are very worried about being hypnotized. So my process would be to take them to experience relaxation. I told them that hypnosis is a deep relaxation. So I would take them into a deep relaxation state and then introduce them to their safe place or their happy place, which they create, and it's a place they can return to whenever they feel a dip in their energy. So we work on the happy place and how good and right this is the right place for them and how perfect they are in the happy place or the safe place. I like to call it safe place.
So that's your first session. How many sessions would you usually spend with a client?
I recommend three. So the second could possibly work through something we call parts therapy. What is the part of you that is feeling the guilt? Let's take guilt as an example. And then the third session would be to go to the cause of where the guilt started. I'd use hypnotherapy most of the time, or I would switch to journey work. Depends on the client.
Okay, so I know a lot about hypnotherapy, but I know absolutely nothing about journey work. Tell me, what is that?
Well, journey work is a gentle process that takes you into trance, but in a different manner to the way we do it in hypnotherapy. It's talking you, we go down the staircase and into a place. And we normally, in journey work, we meet with a mentor who can guide and advise you and help you. In journey work, there are two processes. There's one called the emotional journey, and that is similar to aiming for the same results as we do with hypnotherapy. And there's a second process called the physical journey, which is a healing process. It's for healing, for physical healing. So let's go to the emotional journey. We eventually get to the emotion where, we'll use guilt as an example, where the guilt started, where the guilt originally, where you learned the behavior pattern of guilt. And then in a very similar way to hypnotherapy, we work through the perpetrator, why you experience guilt, in what situation. And normally there is a perpetrator, and it normally happens in the first 7 years of our life where we don't have the logical means to say, well, that doesn't apply to me. But we take on whatever it is. And in this case, let's say it is the guilt. And then we work through understanding where that person came from. And then forgiveness. I aim at an unconditional love of forgiving. Then the process happens, the change happens. I have an example of one of my very first clients who came to me, and he had tried to commit suicide, and he came to me and he was very guilty, in very self-destructive mode. And what we ultimately unearthed, if I can put it that way, was that he, as a little boy of about 4, his girl cousin came to visit, and he knew that girls were different. So he took off her nappy or whatever to have a look at why she was different. And the mother of this girl came in on this whole episode and screamed and shouted and performed, and he felt so guilty, and he lived with that guilt till the age of 40. And when he understood the whole thing, his life just turned around. Amazing, wonderful, such a beautiful process, discovering where it all started.
Yeah, because your conscious mind kind of suppresses those memories, don't they? And they go
Yes.
very deep in the subconscious, and you don't have access to them on a conscious level. And it would take a quite a deep digging process, if I can call it that, to unearth those original causes.
Exactly, yes. And there's no logic to why we are, why we're experiencing what we experience. We can't, I tell my clients, we can't even begin to think we know where it all started. But we need to get into the subconscious mind where everything is remembered, where all memory is, and work with it from that level.
I've been doing some research recently for a writing project, and specifically about how children develop, in the womb, and at what point we start remembering and experiencing. And as you said, those first 7 years of our lives kind of defines our whole lives. Do you find that in the kind of problems that you see and the kind of work that you do, that it's kind of normal that you have to go back to that sort of period of time?
I think it's a very good idea, Hendrik, but I have had clients where it hasn't been at that level of healing, in inverted commas, it hasn't been necessary. There may be an incident at the age of 13 or 15 that needed to be dealt with first, and that already starts bringing about change. And very often they don't need more than that. I've had personal experience of carrying a child in the womb and the emotions of that carrying that affected the child very adversely. So of one of my children, I wasn't ready for a child, and his emotional development has been difficult for him. It's been wonderful how he has changed and made something amazing of his life, but it made his life the first 30, 40 years of his life very difficult.
And the sad thing is that so many people don't have the courage, perhaps, to go and change those negative beliefs because they really don't understand that it's possible to do that.
Yeah, I think they don't even know that that these things exist, that we do develop these beliefs and behavior patterns because of our youth, of our past experiences. And there's a little understanding of what it's all about, I think. Even today when psychologists do cognitive therapy behavior, or behavior therapy, I should say, they teach you to work in the present, don't they? They don't go back and back and back to see where everything developed the first formative years. I might be wrong, but that's how I understand it.
And what would you think would be the tipping point for a person to go like, look, I can't be this person anymore. I need to make some changes in my life. How do they get to that point for them to be able to go, okay, let me look for somebody that can probably help me, and maybe it's a hypnotherapist?
Well, then I would say, I think depression is a big one that plays part in that, don't you? I think when they really feel that they can't move forward, they start searching, where they want change. This is no longer any good for me. I can't stay in this situation or this emotional state any longer. I do need to find someone who can help me. So could we put it into inverted commas, depression, or just a need to find change would be the tipping point for many, if not all.
And then in my personal experience, people go to all sorts of other people, and let's not name the professions they go to, but they don't really get the help they need. And then they become really desperate, and that's the point where maybe they'll go, okay, well, let me try hypnosis. I mean, that's the last thing that will probably work, and if that doesn't work, I don't know what's going to work.
Yes, yeah. I think, yes, most of my clients come from referrals. Somebody phoned me, last year, I suppose it was, and said, my daughter did a therapy session with you 7 years ago. I can't even, I had to refer to my files to see who her daughter was. And it made such a change in her life. She says, I'm going through change now. I need to see you. That's the kind of thing that comes back to me. And I don't even know how that daughter made her change. And I don't know the results of what we did, because people don't often come back and say thank you. They just get on with their lives. I suppose it's like seeing a doctor. If you're healthy, you don't go back. Why go back? I don't know how you feel.
That was for me one of the challenging things when starting out, is like you're so curious to find out, now, did they stop smoking, or did their lives change in a positive way? And you want to call them and go, look, I'm curious, tell me what happened. But, there's kind of a professionalism that you have to keep going. If they don't call back, either it didn't work or it did. And if it didn't work, maybe they'll call back.
That's so true, yeah. But I like to compare it with going to a doctor. I don't go to the doctor and say, wow, thank you, you did a wonderful job. I just don't go back. Do you, if you get what I'm saying?
I do, but then you might talk to other people going, look, that doctor's really great. You might want to go and see him. Do you find word of mouth works for you, that people refer other people to you for the same help?
Yeah, I think that's about all that works for me at the moment, yes, is word of mouth referral. But that's the mindset I've had. I don't do much advertising.
Let's talk a little bit about the business of hypnotherapy, because I think that's a little bit neglected. And we all get our qualifications. We go out into the world with this ambition of solving everybody's problems, and then finding clients are really hard. I mean, I'm restarting my practice now, and just finding even one client, especially in this age of COVID, is proving to be a tremendous challenge. How do you go about it? How do you run your business part of your practice?
I must say it's part-time. And it is really referrals. And I think of the people I've seen this year, it has been referrals. Nothing other than that. That's what I've always based my system on, is I'll get the clients I need through referrals. So I've seen, when I say this year, in the last 2 months, I think I've had 3 clients, and they were referrals.
Now, you're talking about depression and these sort of things. I was speaking to Max Can the other day, and he was saying that the nature of his business has changed. He used to see a lot of smokers, but now people are coming, presenting with anxiety and stress and all these things because of the pandemic and the situation of lockdown and all these, these things that we find ourselves in. Are you experiencing the same thing?
No, I can't say I am. I don't see enough people to say that. My latest client, it definitely had nothing to do with lockdown. It was to do with her living situation. And the other one that I'm thinking of, she has been in this situation for many years, and she needed to change her outlook on the whole thing. So I can't say that I've had anything to do with anxiety or anything like that, in fact.
The way that we present our sessions also seem to be changing, in that, people don't want to risk coming to in-person sessions and would rather prefer online therapy. Do you also do that?
I have, and I've done it. I've done it successfully with quite a few people. Well, I'm thinking of 3 at the moment. The one, we were doing it on Messenger. I don't know if you know Messenger as an online. What do you call it? Link. Yeah, you can create a room in Messenger and work with someone like you do in Zoom. And I worked with someone in America doing that. That was a referral. And we had a very good session on it. And then I had someone in the northern province in this country, and we tried to connect that way, and we couldn't. So we ended up using WhatsApp, just as you and I are doing now, and it worked very successfully. And I've done that twice.
It is interesting. It's interesting to me that, that we used to think hypnosis can only happen in a certain way. You've got to have the client there. You establish trust. You work through your processes, and off they go. But that our mindsets have then also changed to, as you say, to very successfully use technology to do these kind of work.
Yeah. Oh, and for me, it has been successful. I do have one client who I see regularly. I've become a bit of a crutch for her, but anyway, she likes to see me to be present with me. Otherwise, she said the Skype call that didn't work for her. Would I see her one-on-one? And I did, and then came COVID, and we were going to have a one-on-one session, and then she felt her daughter got COVID or something, so we couldn't meet one-on-one. We've just recently done another electronic, can I call it, or virtual session, and it's been very good. So she's changed. She saw that it could work, but she does prefer the personal contact. she believes it's a stronger connection, although our last session seems to have been successful.
And in the end, it's always about what the client believes, isn't it?
Yes, of course, yes. And she was desperate to have a session, so she was prepared to go again online, do it online. And it seems to have had some good result.
Yeah, because it usually takes a day or three for those changes to, go deep in the subconscious, to make those changes within you, and for it to sort of bubble up again and change your behavior and so on.
Yes. But I do think you need to keep that energy up as well, even though, you need to keep the feeling going, if you understand what I'm saying, so that the changes can take place. But allow yourself to slip back into a depression is not going to allow the changes to take place as effectively. And I am thinking of a client I saw at the end of last year. She felt good for a few days, but she allowed her personal circumstances to stay the same and be very depressing. So she's just slipped right back into that mindset again.
But does that mean that the root cause wasn't solved? Like you said, something that happens as a child or even before birth?
Yes, I would say so. And I think one session is not good enough. We're peeling off the layers of an onion, aren't we? And so you get to the first layer, you get to the next and the next. But with this particular lady, she's not prepared to change her circumstances around her. So she's living in the same energy, and probably doesn't want change, or doesn't know how. I've given her ideas how to change, and she hasn't taken them up. She lives with a sister who needs to be in a mental institution, and it's pulling her down and pulling her down, but she's not actually getting her sister into the mental institution. So there's a lot of angst around her all the time, and so she can't lift herself. She can't move away from it. We have to make decisions sometimes to move away from stuff that is not good for us, don't we?
Indeed we do, and change is not always easy.
No, it's not. I do feel for her. I really do feel for her. All our clients have to make the choice that they actually do want the change. It's not up to us to make the change for them. We can help them make the change, and they need to then take the action. Just with the smoker, same with the smoker, isn't it? We can't make them stop smoking. We can help them, but if they decide they don't want the change, any program we do with them is not going to work in the long run. I don't know if you agree with that.
Of course it is. That's why I tell everybody who comes to me for a stop smoking session, you must have stopped smoking before you come to the session. You must have that moment where you go, this is my last cigarette. I'm never going to smoke again. It's my decision, not because I'm told to or because somebody else wants to. It's because I want to do it, and then only I can help you.
I think people also have to be ready. So when I say I have this client who uses me as a crutch, that is what she is doing. She's using me as a crutch. So she doesn't have to explore and find the change, make the change. I'll make the change for her. And she's happy to sit for 6 months, and then I'll phone Vanessa again and I'll have another session.
So let's talk about hypno junkies for a moment. There are some people that are really get kind of, like you say, it becomes a crutch for them, and it's something they want to do regularly. Do you have many of those, or is it rare to see somebody like that?
No, I don't have many of those. I don't at all. Just this one lady. But I'd call myself a hypno junkie too.
So do you use hypnosis yourself? Do you go to see somebody, or do you use self-hypnosis?
I do a lot of self-hypnosis or journey work, yeah. I do a lot on myself because I believe it does bring change, and we need to change. The planet needs us to change, Hendrik. The planet needs change. And, the change that I'm seeing with COVID is wonderful. It's the caring that's coming out of COVID. People are caring for other people visibly. And I think that's wonderful. It's a new energy, and gives me hope.
You were saying earlier that when you were talking about journey work, it sounded to me like it's also a spiritual process as well, and maybe that's what's happening. And
it is
because of COVID, is a kind of a spiritual awakening.
In journey work, we access our higher self, if you want to call it, the essence of who we are. We call it the essence of who we are. Everybody has their own interpretation. And in the emotional journey, that's where you go. You go to the essence of who you are, and that essence of who you are guides and directs you into your healing process. So yes, journey work is on a spiritual level, more so than hypnotherapy.
We were talking earlier about people, having problems and having to make that decision to change. But ultimately, the solutions, I believe, are all inside of us. You just need somebody to guide you to find, as you say, that really deep inner place within you where you can do your own healing, where you can access your higher power and your wisdom and all those things.
You're so right. Yes. The ultimate is you do your own healing, and we are guides, aren't we? We guide. I like to say I'm a facilitator in the process. That's all. I'm facilitating your process of healing.
Now tell me, is there any way that you want to improve your practice or maybe add some new kinds of clients, or how do you look into the future and what do you see for yourself in terms of hypnosis and hypnotherapy and, helping people to solve their problems?
I think within myself I have a change in attitude, in that I want to actually be of service, and that's a broad term, but service in change. Service, and in the very greater scheme of things, service to the planet in helping people change energy. That's me. I don't know if that makes sense to you. But I do believe that we need to lift the consciousness of this planet, and it comes from each individual. If as a hypnotherapist or a journey practitioner, I can help lift the energy even by a couple of, not even degrees, but just change the energy into a more positive energy, then I'm being of service to humanity, to mankind. That's my greater belief. So for me to see clients, that's where I'd like to go, is to help them change in order to help society change, humanity change.
When you facilitate change for people, do you also find it has an effect on you and changes you?
Oh, yes. Claudia always said, you only get the people that you can deal with. And they all come, and they're all teaching me as well. Yes, all of them. They all teach me. And that's so wonderful, too. Not only does it help them, it helps me as well in various ways.
It sounds to me that there's a very special spirit around you, or within you, that it's a very gentle way also that you work. You come across as somebody who's really caring and who deeply cares about people, to the point where you want to help people to really achieve their best and be the best that they are.
Thank you. Yes, you're right. Yeah, that's within me. Yes. So that would be a reason to grow my practice. And I want to be an inspiration to others, and that's one of my affirmations. If it's an affirmation or a declaration of who I am, an inspiration to others, and not from an egotistic and ego-based point of view, but from service, serving others. If I could grow my practice, and when I saw your email on Monday morning, I thought, this is direction. This has come to me because this is the direction I want to go. It's just another sign on my path, as it were, taking me to where I need to be, of service. And that's where it all started, all those years ago when I started. The fact that I could help other people was very fulfilling to know. Yeah, but I think I'm working from a different ego level now, and that's of service rather than saying, yeah, I can do this kind of thing.
So people who want to make use of your services, how would they get hold of you?
I have a webpage, and it's called Changes Are Possible Cape Town.co.za.
Is there a number where they can contact you, perhaps?
Yes. My phone number is 073 3520 671.
So people would have to make an appointment, obviously, and book an appropriate time with you.
That's right. And I'm very happy to do a virtual, do we call it a virtual session online?
I suppose we do, a virtual online session.
Yeah.
To end off, Vanessa, If you were to tell somebody why they need to consider hypnotherapy, maybe before even some of the other methods that they might consider, what would your motivation be?
That we all can be a better version of who we are. And hypnotherapy will lead you to that better version of who you are.
I think that's a really positive way to end this conversation. Vanessa, thank you so very much for chatting with me today.
Thank you. Thank you for connecting with me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I found chatting to my hypnosis colleague very interesting and insightful, and I trust that you did too. Their contact details are in the podcast description, or you can get in touch with them through findahypnotist.co.za. If you want to find out more about me and what I do, please visit my website, hendrikbaird.com. Remember, I release new episodes every Thursday, so be sure to subscribe to my channel. Until we speak again, have a hypnotic day.
Hypnosis works, transforming the mind.